Welcome back, Giants fans. Week number 7 reaction here as the Giants take care of business at home here. They beat the Carolina Panthers by a score of 25-3 and improved to 2-5 this year. So obviously this would feel better if they were 5-2 and not 2-5. I understand that, but this was a good win, honestly. Like, to have a commanding win like this and beat a team by this much. I know it's the Panthers and they've kind of been in shambles here the past few weeks, and Sam Darnold looked horrendous, but I got to give credit to the Giants defense. They played really well. They had 6 sacks in this game, had constant pressure, especially in the second half, and the secondary for the most part did a good job against Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore and some of the weapons they have on that team. So I give the Giants defense a ton of credit, especially guys like Leonard Williams and Azeez Ojulari. We'll get into them later, and James Bradbury had an interception as well in the revenge game spot for the former Carolina Panthers. So we'll go over the Giants offense real quick here. So Daniel Jones had a good game. I think that Jason Garrett did a terrific job, honestly, of putting him in a position to succeed despite having some really key players on this offense out, whether it's Andrew Thomas, the left tackle, or Kenny Golladay, or Kadarius Toney. Even Sterling Shepard was a late scratch in this game at like around 11:30. So I think Jason Garrett had a really good game plan for the offense, and the Giants finally executed it. A lot of times we hear in the media, especially on the defensive side as well, is that the Giants have a good game plan, but they never execute it. And as fans, like, we don't see what goes on in practice. We don't really care what they do in practice. We care about the results when they play the games on Sunday or Monday or Thursday. That's what we care about, is the games. So the Giants have always talked about how they've looked in practice, and Joe Judge is definitely good at that. Talking about we're going to get better, it's going to get better every week and all that. But they finally put together a good game plan and executed it. So that's what I'm excited about when it comes to this game. But I will say, the Carolina Panthers are not a powerhouse in the NFL. They had a good start against some easy teams. They've really fallen off here, losing 4 in a row now. And when you lose to the Giants by this many points, it's probably not a good look for your organization. But either way, it's a very impressive win for the way they did it. So Daniel Jones, back to that. So Daniel Jones had a good game. I believe his stats were a bit over 200 yards. He was like 25 of 33 passing, had 1 passing touchdown, had an awesome reception. I don't think we expected that. So there was like a Philly special type play where they threw an end around to Dante Pettis, and he threw a ball that was a bit outstretched for Daniel Jones, but he one-handed it and brought it in. It was an awesome catch. Kind of, I saw a lot of pictures on Twitter of that catch next to the Odell Beckham catch. And while Beckham's catch will never be matched in terms of, the difficulty of that catch, I will say this, and I saw Bobby Skinner said this as well. The Beckham catch came in a loss. This catch came in a win. So you can say the Daniel Jones catch means more at the end of the day. So, yeah, Daniel Jones is put in a position to succeed in this game despite having a lot of the top weapons out. Of course, we know Golladay and Shepard and whoever, Toney, those guys were out, Andrew Thomas. And, a lot of times, like, they were moving the pocket. Daniel Jones was having a lot of throws on the run, a lot of bootleg and play action type throws on the run, and not heavily relying on the offensive line, because Carolina has a good pass rush. They have guys like Hassan Reddick and Brian Burns and Derek Brown. They have good pass rushers, and our offensive line has not really been a strong part of the Giants. They've had some games where they played well, and I think they played pretty well in this game. Even the run blocking was not that bad. Like, I feel like Devontae Booker, while it wasn't the most efficient game, Devontae Booker was fine, and he had that big run at the end to kind of put the icing on the cake for this victory. So Daniel Jones, for the most part, did what he had to do, and he didn't turn the ball over, and the Giants got the win. So, it's not like Daniel Jones had a 400-yard, 3-touchdown type game, but, he played within the game plan and played at a high level. So I'll take that. If it results in a victory, I'll take that performance in my quarterback any day. So I'm satisfied with that. Jason Garrett, I talked about, wasn't bad. Definitely, for the position that we're put in with all the injuries on offense, I thought Jason Garrett called a pretty good game, honestly. I mean, there was probably some that wasn't great, but for the most part, I thought Jason Garrett did pretty well, and the Giants would have scored more if Kyle Rudolph got in on that first touchdown, because remember, Rudolph stepped out of bounds. It was called a touchdown on the field, I believe, and they saw that Rudolph stepped on the chalk right as he was about to score, and then they called it back to the 1-yard line. The Giants, had a goal line stand go against them, and Carolina did a good job there on the goal line, and the Giants turned the ball over on downs, but it resulted in a safety going the other way, so it was fine. But anyway, so if that happened, the Giants would have scored scored 32. So the Giants would have had 32 points on offense. Probably would have been the first time, I feel like, in the Jason Garrett era, because they had the game against the Cowboys last year where they put up like 34, but they scored a defensive touchdown. So this might have been the first 30-point game in the Garrett era, I think, because I don't think they scored 30-plus in the Saints game. I think it was like high 20s. So yeah, it might have been the first 30-plus game. Anyway, Jason Garrett was fine in this game. Definitely not a problem in my opinion. So some of the Giants receivers did a good job in this game. Guys that, we probably were not expecting to do much before the season started. We saw a guy like Dante Pettis come in here and have a good game. Dante Pettis caught a touchdown in this one. He caught a slant and was kind of outrunning guys. He was caught after about 20, 30 yards after the catch. So Dante Pettis had a good game. Darius Slayton came back after missing about the last, 3 or 4 games, and he made an impact. I think he led the team in receiving, and Slayton didn't have like a huge catch in this game, but a lot of like chunk plays of 10 to 15 yards, like those type of catches that were getting the Giants first downs and moving the sticks. So he was important in this game, and he was really the wide receiver one for the Giants in this game. And Evan Engram definitely played a role in this game. Didn't have the most receiving yards in the world. I want to look at the stats real quickly, but Evan Engram had a lot of catches where it was the play action type throws, and basically Evan Engram was left wide open in the flat. Engram would catch the ball and run for about 5-10 more yards and pick up first down. So Engram had 6 catches for 44 yards in this game. Dante Pettis was 5 for 39 and a touchdown, and Darius Slayton was 5 catches for 63 yards. So yeah, the receivers for the most part did a fine job, especially for the talent we have. Obviously, those guys are not the most talented group in the world. We saw everyone's favorite Giant, what's his name now? I forget his name. David Sills he finally played in this game and had a drop, so that was not what you want to see. He dropped a slant that was right in his hands. Good pass by Jones. So I don't think he had a catch in this game. But yeah, we saw John Ross made a little bit of an impact. I saw he had a nice catch in the fourth quarter, I believe, to move the sticks at one point. So he was fine. But yeah, the receivers did enough in this game to keep things going. And Kyle Rudolph even had a couple catches in this game, so he was fine. Almost scored a touchdown once again. I'm still waiting for him to have his first touchdown. He caught a 2-point conversion last week in garbage time, but still has not had his first Giants touchdown yet. We're still waiting on that. Offensive line, definitely not an issue in my opinion. Yes, they were down Andrew Thomas. Nate Solder didn't look great. But it didn't kill the Giants. I will say that. I feel like Matt Pear, outside of like that stupid penalty he had on the screenplay, I forget exactly who caught it, but there was one play where Matt Pear had a bad penalty. But outside of that, they were fine. I saw that Will Hernandez had a very key block on the last touchdown run by Devontae Booker. Didn't notice any nonsense from Billy Price or Matt Skura. Like, they were fine for the most part. I don't think the offensive line was a part of the team that I was concerned about after watching this game. Devontae Booker on the ground was 14 carries, 51 yards, and a touchdown, so it's not the most efficient game, but it was enough to keep the Panthers defense honest here. The defense for the Giants was really the stars of the game, I will say. The offense was fine, but the defense really stood up in this matchup because the Giants have had one of the worst defenses in football heading into this game, and it was very disappointing because they really weren't that injured. The only major loss they've had on defense was Blake Martinez, which, yes, is a big loss, but it's not a loss that should make you one of the worst defenses in football when you still have guys that are highly paid like Leonard Williams and taking a high pick like Dexter Lawrence and having, other guys paid very handsomely like James Bradbury and a former first-round pick in Jabril Peppers and, Adoree Jackson's paid very nicely. And, you have guys like that. So there was talent on this defense. We just weren't seeing it, but now we finally saw it. James Bradbury had a interception where it was pretty much a gift from Sam Darnold. He overthrew his guy by a mile, and Bradbury was just a lucky recipient, so it wasn't like he made a tremendous play, but hey, he caught the ball. We see a lot of guys in the secondary drop a lot of easy passes, so Bradbury gets his revenge game interception. Leonard Williams showed up in this game. I think he had 1.5 sacks, a couple tackles for loss. Like, Leonard Williams was making an impact in this game. We've seen it now for about 2 or 3 weeks in a row where Leonard Williams has played very nicely, so if he can keep that up, that'd be great. A lot of fans, myself included, were not happy with the way he was playing the first month or so. But I feel like since that Dallas game, is it the Dallas game? I think since the Dallas game, maybe the Rams game, I forget which one it was. But Leonard Williams, I would say about the last 3 games or so, Leonard Williams has played better, in my opinion, noticeably. The first, 4 or 5 games, he wasn't doing as much as I would like, but now he's starting to play better. And this is kind of how last year went. Like, people were putting up graphics of Leonard Williams' stats. the first month of last year and the first month of this year, and it was kind of the same. So I guess Leonard Williams maybe kind of starts slow and then kind of gets better as the year goes on. So maybe this is who Leonard Williams is. I have no idea, but he is getting better right now as the season's going on, so we love to see that. Azeez Ojulari had a monster game in this one. I think NYG Daily actually tweeted out what his stats were here. So he had, I believe, 2.5 sacks, and now he's probably at 5.5 this year, I believe. I'm pretty sure he's at 5.5 now. So he was awesome in this game. Azeez Ojulari definitely had, some impact plays in the fourth quarter towards the end of the game against, I think it was Brady Christensen, who's the rookie left tackle from BYU. But he was really impactful in this game. NYG Daily has it 2.5 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, and 3 tackles for loss. So he was awesome. Like, Azeez Ojulari was a guy that in my bold prediction video before the year started, I think I predicted 7 sacks for Ojulari, and he's already at like 5.5 or 6.5, whatever the number is. And he might be doing better than what my bold prediction was. And when you're making a bold prediction, you're kind of going outside the box. So if he's able to outproduce a bold prediction, the guy's having a good year. It's not only sacks. I feel like Ojulari overall is having a good year. Even Lorenzo Carter, I feel like looked better in this game. There was a couple plays where he set the edge and forced the running back inside. I didn't notice like any pressures from him, but definitely in the run game, I feel like Lorenzo Carter made an impact. So the Giants defense as a whole just played really well. Even Dexter Lawrence, who I've been very critical of lately because he has not made enough impact plays, had a sack in this game, a couple run stops on Chuba Hubbard. Like, he was more impactful in this game than we've seen in the past, 6 games, whatever it's been, or 5 games. So, Dexter Lawrence was good in this game as well. Quincy Rochet, I think it's Rochet. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, let me know, because I don't know. Usually I watch the games with the volume off, which is like not good for me because I want to know like who's playing and whatnot. But I usually go back and watch the game anyway. But Quincy Rochet, I believe it is, had a couple of nice plays in this game. I think he stopped an end around in the first quarter. I was kind of surprised to see him out there that early, but he played pretty well in this game. So maybe we see more of Quincy Rochet. Maybe he plays more over a guy like O'Shane Ximines, who hasn't really not done anything so far this year. And it sucks because I was a Ximines fan. I love the pick out of Old Dominion, but he really hasn't done anything. I feel like he has not been the same since his rookie year, so that definitely sucks. But you got to play the better guys. You can't like cling on to your draft picks if they're not playing well, especially a guy in the 3rd round. So P.J. Walker replaced Sam Darnold. P.J. Walker was the former, is it CFL or XFL? Wow, Jonathan Taylor, so freaking good. He's the former, I think, XFL quarterback, and he came in for Sam Darnold in the 4th quarter of this game because Sam Darnold, his numbers were atrocious. I know this is more of like a Giants podcast or channel, whatever you want to call it, but Sam Darnold was horrific in this game. 16-25, 111 passing yards, 1 interception, was sacked 3 times, and I mean, Sam Darnold was missing so many guys. There was a 3rd down play where a guy, it might have been a tight end or a fullback, ran like an angle route, and he was wide open, and Sam Darnold just missed him like 5 yards in front of him. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? And of course, the interception to Bradbury was a bad throw as well. Like, Sam Darnold has looked very uncomfortable lately. He started out the year looking pretty good too. So I mean, I don't know what's going on with him, but it's not like the Panthers have the most perfect offensive line. Yes, they're missing Christian McCaffrey, but that should not force him to play this bad. So I don't know what's going on there. I think Matt Rule said that Sam Darnold's still their quarterback, so whatever. But yeah, the Giants definitely brought out the worst of Sam Darnold in this matchup, because I actually said, and I'll take accountability like I always try to do, I thought Sam Darnold was going to have a bounce-back game in this one. I expected like a 250-yard, 2-touchdown type game from Sam Darnold, and it was nothing near that. So I was wrong about that, but I'm happy when I'm wrong in a positive way. So the Giants, secondary played very nicely, especially the pass rush. Like, their pass rush was great in this game for the guys I just went over. Jabril Peppers was definitely more noticeable. I saw he kind of went down later in the game. I think they called it an ankle injury, but I think he's fine. I saw him kind of hyping the guys up in the locker room after the game, so hopefully he's okay. But he was making plays in this game, chased down Sam Darnold on a sack. It was a great play. So Chuba Hubbard was the running back who was blocking on that play and took out Jabril Peppers' legs, and Peppers got off the ground and still chased down Sam Darnold for a sack. It was a great play. Had a couple run stops in there as well. He had a really impactful game, Jabril Peppers, and he's a guy that, if the Giants do end up losing next week, I forget when the trade deadline is, but if the Giants are sellers at the deadline, Jabril Peppers may unfortunately get traded because it's a contract year. The Giants might not be able to afford him based on what he's going to be asking for. So Jabril Peppers may be traded at some point. We'll see. That's just the reality of the situation. So I guess it's better for us that he's playing well right now, based on trade value, or even if he's a part of the team's future, if they can afford that somehow. That's definitely good news for the Giants. So, I'm happy to see Jabril Peppers out there making plays for this team, and hopefully he stays healthy because, I just go back to that the back fracture he had in his first year with the Giants. That's definitely a scary injury. So hopefully he's stays healthy the rest of the year. Now the general notes here: Sterling Shepard was inactive. I definitely needed him for a fantasy team, so I was not happy about that. But yeah, Shepard was inactive. They went back to the Colin Johnson, Dante Pettis group and the John Ross group. So Dante Pettis, though, he was fine. I just talked about him earlier. I actually told a friend to start him in fantasy, so thank God he performed. But Dante Pettis was actually really good in this game, a former second-round pick, of course. He's a talented kid. Like we saw on the slant route, the explosiveness he possesses, and it kind of reminded me, at least, I don't know about you guys, of a former number 13 on the Giants who was able to catch slant routes and outrun guys' angles. I know he didn't score on that play, but still, it was very impressive, the explosiveness he possessed on that play. Joe Judge had a late field goal decision that I was not really a fan of. I know people have mixed opinions about it. I actually tweeted about it. I did not read the responses because sometimes when I tweet something that might be negative of the Giants, I tend not to read the responses because people are very mean in the comments. Anyway, so there was a 53-yard attempt for the Giants here. They were up 12-3, so it's a 2-possession game, mind you, 9-point game. There was 12 minutes, 46 seconds left in the fourth quarter and a 4th and 1, and they were on the Panthers, looks like 43-yard line. So they had to go 1 yard on the Panthers 43, and instead of going for it and potentially making it a 2-possession game, Judge decides to kick the field goal and make it 15-3. Now, I guess I understand it from the perspective of the Giants defense was playing very well and the Panthers offense was not looking good whatsoever, so you might as well just take the points and not give them a short field. I get that part of it, but I just feel like when you're in a 4th and 1 and you're not really doing much by giving yourself the 3 points. You know what I mean? Like you're basically, you're making it a 1-possession game and you're still making a 1-possession game. Like I don't unless the Panthers had time to get a field goal and a touchdown, which I guess they did have time to get that, but I still don't get oh my God, Carson Wentz with a terrible interception. I don't get what they were doing. Like, if you make it a 12-point game as compared to a 9-point game, does it really matter? You know what I mean? Like, you're still in the fourth quarter. I don't know. I wasn't really a big fan of it. I know the Giants' offensive line's not the most reliable unit in football, but the offense, for the most part, was able to move the ball today. So, I don't know. I kind of wish they went for it, but it really doesn't matter. It's a moot point because they won the game. But, Joe Judge always concerns me about these 4th down calls and not going for it. And, all right, so last note. Of course, this is a good win. I talked about the record being 2-5. You'd rather it be 5-2. But the season's not over yet. I refuse to, this was the final straw for me. If they lost this game, I was probably just, mentally checked out of caring if they lose anymore because at that point it's like they're not going to make the playoffs anyway. But now at 2-5, there's a chance. And I'm crazy for saying this. I get it. Like the Eagles lost today. Washington lost today, I believe, to the Packers. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys had a bye. But, if Dallas somehow struggles in the second half, and maybe not even, maybe if the Giants get a wild card spot, the Giants have to play very well in the second half of the year. I think right now their record is what? They are 2-5, so they're 7 games in. It's a 17-game season, so that's 10 games left, I believe. If they can find a way to go 7-3 maybe and end up with 9 wins, or even go 6-4 and end up with 8 wins, there's a chance. I don't want to totally give up yet, and I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to give this team a chance. I don't expect to go into Kansas City next week and win that game, but if they win that game, I'm bought back in. I'm going to be very, probably foolishly optimistic about our chances of making the playoffs and making a run here. I don't want to give up on this team yet. We're still in October, mind you, so it's very early still in the season, in my opinion. We're close to that halfway point, but not there yet, but it's still pretty early. There's a lot of football left, a lot of games to be played, and hopefully these guys for the Giants get healthy. There's a lot of guys that should be coming back soon. None of these are season-ending injuries. Barkley should be back at some point. We're hearing Week 9 is a possibility against the Raiders. For Kenny Golladay, he should be back soon, whether it's next week or the week after. Kadarius Toney's sounds kind of serious. He might be out, maybe through the bye week or something. I don't know, but Kadarius Toney should not be out for the year. I think he'll be back at some point. And Andrew Thomas is on the IR for 3 games, which is 2 more games after this, so he might be back after their bye week. So if the Giants can just survive and just go 1-2 the next 2 weeks, which I know is not great because after that your record is going to be 3-7, which is not what you want. But as I've said before, the Giants have an easier schedule in the second half of the year, and their next 3 games are tough. I will say, like, they play Kansas City next week, they play the Raiders after that, and the Raiders, they're tough to gauge. They've had games this year where they look like crap, and they have games where today, who they play today? The Raiders, the Eagles. They played the Eagles today, and they looked like a dominant team. Like, I think they were up 24-7 on the Eagles at one point. They won the game by like 9 points or so, but like they looked like a really good team in certain games. They beat the Ravens earlier this year. It was a crazy game, I know that, but they've had impressive wins. They went to Pittsburgh and won this year, so the Raiders are tough to gauge. They had that weird week where they lost to the Bears. I know the whole John Gruden thing was really going on. That was John Gruden's last game actually as the head coach, but there's been some games this year where it's tough to gauge the Raiders. And then they play Tampa out of the bye, which they're so dominant. Like, I don't expect to beat Tampa if Tom Brady is healthy, but that team looks tremendous. But if they can go 1-2, there's a chance. So, this was a win they needed. They had to get it. If they lost this game, I would have been checked out, but they finally, got themselves this second win here, and it really does suck because I feel like the Giants really could have been 4-3 this year. You know what I mean? You think back to the Washington game, you think back to the Falcons game. They could have had a real chance to be 4-3 here. So it's a crappy feeling knowing what we missed out on, but there is still a lot of football left, as I said. And, I feel like it's too early to give up. If you do give up, look, I don't blame you. There's a lot of people that are realists out there. I try to be a realist when I can, and I understand the Giants' chances of making the playoffs are very slim at this point, but there's a chance. At least winning today gave us a chance, and I do look forward to that. So, we'll see what happens next week again against Kansas City. I think it's a Monday night game, so I'm planning on streaming that game. So if you guys want to watch the game live with me, I'll probably have that up I'll probably be live for that game. I'll keep you guys updated throughout the week. But yeah, I probably will plan on being live for that game. So anyway, we'll see what happens against Kansas City. But today, it was a good win, a very stress-free win. I know that was pretty early. It was a 5-3 game once again in the late third quarter, and you always have in the back of your mind, we're Giants fans, they always find a way to disappoint us. But after that touchdown by who was it? Who scored the touchdown that put it away? Devontae Booker's touchdown. You knew it was over. So at least we had a little time to watch the Giants and be like, okay, we're good. We won this game. So usually it's right down to the wire for us. So it's nice to have a comfortable, relaxing win in the second half of the fourth quarter. So anyway, it was a good win. We'll see what happens in Kansas City next week. But I'm happy. I'm in a good mood for once after a game, which is great. So anyway, hopefully they find a way, and hopefully these guys get healthy. We'll see if we get Kenny Golladay back. We'll see if Saquon can come back. I don't think so. It's not looking like it, but maybe they get some guys back. Sterling Shepard, hopefully, for Kansas City. So right now they're struggling. Patrick Mahomes, I believe, had an injury today. He was helped off the field. I think they said it was not a concussion. So, I do expect him to play next week, but he's a bit banged up right now. And Kansas City has not looked right really at all this year. They've had maybe 1 or 2 games where they looked like their usual selves. I think one of them was against Washington, actually, who were probably, I would say the Giants are maybe better than them, honestly. Washington has not been a good team so far this year, so I'm not going to say we're going to go out there and beat Kansas City and Arrowhead, but you never know. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs are not who we thought they were coming into this year. They've definitely been struggling so far. So we'll see. Any given Monday in that case. So I'll talk to you guys next time. Hopefully you enjoyed. And once again, I'll try and stream that game next week. And I will talk to you guys next time.